Some say the West is the best, and right here on the early line previewing NBA series, we got a doozy in the Western Conference. That's the number 4 Clippers taking on the number 5 Mavericks here in round number 1. Before we hit the money lines, the spreads, how many games it's going to take here, a similar feel here, Joe Ranieri, as we line up and talk about, let's just say, the Phoenix Suns. Can the big 3 get to the playoffs healthy? Phoenix's big 3 healthy and ready for the playoffs. Question marks all the way around here for the Clippers, because yesterday we find out from Shams Charania, Kawhi Leonard has received a knee injection, and there's cautious optimism he'll be ready to play game number 1 on Sunday. Not much practice time, not much court time here for Kawhi Leonard. Can we trust the big 3 here for the Clippers when it looks like they won't even be ready to start the series, Joe?
Yeah, no, it's what a tale of 2 seasons here, really. And really, if you split this year into 2 seasons, that's kind of what you had here with the Clippers, because from November to February, this was a team that went 31-8 and averaged more points than any other team in basketball. They were absolutely humming. And then all of a sudden, we got to the All-Star break. And then since that point, they have been absolute trash. They went 15-13. They ranked bottom 3rd in net rating across the board. Then, of course, they were resting starters towards the end. Then Kawhi got hurt, and the wheels began to fall off. And him getting an ejection, to me, is immaterial. We've seen this from Kawhi. A healthy Kawhi Leonard would have had me running to the window to bet the Clippers. An injection into the knee Kawhi Leonard has me running the other way here, because without this guy, they are not winning anything. He missed the last 8 games of the regular season. He's got knee swelling, and no injection in the world is going to allow him to go the entire distance here of the playoffs that is going to be needed for this team. Harden fell off a cliff. Shocker. Stop me if you want there. And Paul George still doesn't have a contract. So I think we've seen this before here, right, Donnie? We've seen it where the only one left is Paul George. He's got to play out of his mind. He's going to get his money, and then they're still going to be bounced out before they should. This team had all the potential, and they have fallen off a cliff. No Kawhi Leonard, no fully healthy Kawhi Leonard, no Clippers for me.
It's like Groundhog Day all over every day for the Clippers.
It really is.
One thing we always wait for, Joe, is year to year. Boy, if those Clippers can just get to the playoffs and be healthy, the damage they can do. They're never healthy. So if you were sitting back in November, December going like, you know what? This is finally the year. We're going to bet on the Clippers here at a nice price to win the NBA championship because they're all going to be healthy and they're all going to play. Who are we kidding here? They're never healthy, and they're not now. So specifically, as we're pointing out, a knee injury that caused you to miss 8 straight games, which let's just say that's 3.5 weeks of NBA time, which means you're not practicing all that much. You're not running up and down the court. And then one last saving grace. Let's take an injection to see if that works. Okay, it works for game number 1. Now we go on Kawhi watch for every single game where he's lifted questionable to doubtful, and you can be look, hey, they played 4 games. Kawhi played. Oh, no, game number 5, Kawhi's going to sit this one out. We've seen this picture, but let's set this series up here because the Clippers are the 4 seed. The Mavericks are the 5 seed. So theoretically, the better season all along was for the Clippers. Well, we'll find that out in just a little bit. Money line on the series. Not going to be the series favorite here. Clippers, who are the 4 seed, it's actually Dallas, a minus 134 price. You want the dog price on the Clippers? It's plus 110. You want to take the series spread? That's Dallas, minus 1.5 at a plus 118 price. The dog here, the Clippers, you want to take the plus 1.5, you'll pay a minus 144 price. So let's start there. Even though the higher seeded team is the Clippers, everybody's saying, no. We think the better team, including the FanDuel Sportsbook, says it's the Mavericks here.
Well, and they have. They've been the best team, dare I say, outside of Denver. I mean, remember when they traded for what? P.J. Washington. Then they got Gafford, right? And then down the stretch, they went 21-8. And it wasn't just hero ball. It wasn't, just Luka ball there. 21-8 with the 3rd highest offensive efficiency in the league. Now you got Kawhi Leonard. Now you've got surrounding pieces there with Kawhi Leonard. You have Kyrie Irving. You've got Luka. You've got a great supporting cast that can play some defense and guys that can create their own shots. Dallas has been playing by far the best basketball they have played all year long. They've been playing it now down the stretch here. this is kind of a truck I don't want to get in front of here. I think it's going to be Ty Lue versus Jason Kidd, right? And that's going to be an interesting coaching matchup here, isn't it? Two guys that can certainly have been there and done this before. I think Doncic, too big a force with Kyrie and the pieces they have now. I can't trust the Clippers. This is all Dallas to me, and it would not shock me if Dallas handles business rather quickly in this series.
Yeah, we'll see. The health is certainly going to be a big deal. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape and the team comparisons between the two. Again, they're 4 and 5 seeds. They're close together. Record 51 and 31 for the Clippers. For the Dallas Mavericks, 50 and 32. Both of these teams can score points when healthy. 118 points a game there for the Mavericks. You see that 116 a game here for the Los Angeles Clippers. If we're looking at the seasonal end of it, the Clippers did win 2 out of 3 games against the Mavericks. But here's what I like to. It's a long season. We know that, Joe, right? You line up in September in training camp. You start playing late October, and you go all the way through till we find ourselves now in the playoffs that are going to start for them on April the 20th here. If you look at the Mavericks, they're always a nice little team here, and they have some talented players. The Mavericks are playing as good as anybody right now in the NBA, which includes their 2 superstar players, Luka Doncic, and also with Kyrie Irving in that backcourt. They've been unstoppable, and as you pointed out, Joe, you're now getting that secondary help. It used to be, boy, you better get 90 points combined out of your 2 superstars in the backcourt because nobody can help out. This team has been really good down the stretch. Talk to me about momentum heading into this series because, quite frankly, the betting public and also the FanDuel Sportsbook buying into it with the Mavericks.
Yeah, no, it's, again, when they made that trade there and they brought those guys in here, this is without a doubt the most talented roster that Luka has been surrounded by ever, right? And it shows because while they are very good at playing what do they call it? Luka ball, right? If it needs to be, well, that's all it was. Every playoff that I can remember since he's been in the league here, it's all been, all right, he's got to do it or nobody else will, right? Well, Brunson for a short time, and then he left for the Knicks here. So it's always been Luka, but now he's got talent. He's got guys that are playing around him that he trusts, which I think is the most important thing because I don't think he's had that since Brunson there. So I think this is a totally different Mavs team, and I think it's one that has all the right ingredients. Not one, but 2 superstars that feed off of one another. And, they got the right pieces and some depth around them, taking on a hobbled Clippers team. Timing is everything. And right now, Dallas is the right time to back here in this spot in the playoffs.
Let's take a look at history here. During the regular season again, you saw the Clippers there take 2 out of 3 games from the Mavericks. If we take a look at their playoff history here, they've had some recency. 2020 and 2021. You take a look at in round 1, both of those years. The Clippers won 4-2 in 2020. In 2021, the Clippers won 4-3 in that round number 1 series here. So you're looking at some history, but again, if you're just saying, well, that's automatic, then why don't we just making the Clippers a heavy favorite because they beat them in the regular season and the last 2 times they set up shop in the playoffs here. But I'm with you. I look at Luka Doncic and what he's done. And quite frankly, next year, when we start to get those odds on who's going to be the MVP and things start shaping up in training camp, Luka Doncic is going to be that guy I look to that says, you know what? He's put in the time. He's put in the numbers. This is the year they're going to excel. Maybe they make a couple changes to the bench and the roster for the Mavericks to actually improve that team. But obviously, that's stuff in the future. We're talking in the here and the now. So let's go ahead and forward it over to game number 1 and how this sets up because the Dallas Mavericks right now, a 1.5-point favorite as a road favorite here going up against the Clippers. Money line, minus 126. If you want that dog price on the Clippers, it's plus 108. A total in this game listed at 224. Now, Joe, if we're taking a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook with the analytics of who's actually betting what, 64% of the bets coming in on Dallas, 73% of the money coming in on Dallas. So it looks like everybody's lining up. This should be a Maverick series for us here.
Now, big caveat here. Everything that we have heard tells us that Kawhi Leonard is never going to be 100% here. And there's levels to this. The problem is I don't think he'll even be 90%. So, I do think that if you see him come out in game 1 and look like he never skipped a beat, then we may have to rethink this. But if he is anything even less than that, and I think he is with this knee because it's impossible, I just don't see how injections are going to help the swelling here a lot, especially in a series in which, if he is healthy, was probably going 6 or 7 games. Him not healthy, yeah, I don't know. And by the way, Luka to be the leading scorer in the series, I don't know what that number is, but it's not high enough. I can not to bet, so I would be smashing Luka to have more points than anybody else in this series as well.
I mean, you know the guy's going to be on it here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, 3-point props all across the board. So the question comes down to this. We know how good the Dallas Mavericks can be when their two superstars are healthy, which they are, in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. We know those guys are going to combine for probably at least 60 points every game here. So we do like the bench even better than what we saw last year with the Dallas Mavericks. But the question here is not really from my end for the Mavericks. I think, Joe, we know what we're going to get from them, which is quality play. The questions come up is, let's just say, can the Clippers win this series if James Harden is forced to be 1-1A along with Paul George? Because the one thing we forget about, too, Kawhi Leonard is not called the Claw because he has big hands and he can, dunk the basketball. He's the Claw because he locks you down as a defender, which is such a key ingredient for a great two-way player. And you're right. If he is playing, we always talk about this too, like, hey, just seeing Kawhi Leonard out there might be good. No, you still have to run up and down the court and play defense. You might actually be hurting your team if you can't defend and or play at your maximum here. So talk to me about this. If Kawhi Leonard does play and we see, let's just say, oh, look at this, game number 1, Kawhi Leonard upgraded to probable. Does that send you even more over the edge for the Mavericks? Because people, oh, look, Kawhi's playing. They should be the favorite in game 1 and this series now.
Yeah, Kawhi playing and Kawhi Leonard play. Let me tell you this. So since 2016, Kawhi Leonard, and there's a reason why everyone is kind of hesitant until they know what's going on with Kawhi, because he's lost one playoff series that he actually finished healthy. And by the way, that series he lost, he was up 3-1 in. But so in 72 games of playoff basketball, the dude has lost one series. One. And he lost it 4-3. He's averaging 29, 30 points a game. And you mentioned it. Not only is he averaging 29, 30 points a game in his playoff games, he is making the other team's best scorer useless and immaterial in the game. So he is, when we say difference maker, right? We throw that around a lot. Mm-hmm. He is a difference maker. He is the difference maker on a team. And if he is not healthy and can't go, there is no way you can back the Clippers here in any way, shape, or form.
And take a look at some points betting perspectives here from the FanDuel Sportsbook. Luka Doncic, 32.5 for game number 1. We know we're expecting big things there. Kyrie Irving, 24.5 points. But how about this? Now, again, Kawhi Leonard is listed with props here. Hasn't played in a long time. But we're still booking him at the FanDuel Sportsbook as if he is an all-star ready to go and 100% healthy, as we've always seen him. Catch this here as we head at the break. Kawhi Leonard's points prop, 24.5. So we're expecting full go Kawhi Leonard right out of the gates here when he's getting knee injections. Tough scene all the way around.